Hey everyone, my name is Courtney Budzyn and this is What's for Din. Today I'm going to show you an old-timer Michigan pasty. This is originated, I think, in England somewhere, but I actually got this recipe from my in-laws, my husband's parents. Went over there one day and I had it and it's absolutely delicious, but it's definitely a Yooper thing. And for those of you who don't know what a Yooper is, it's a person that comes from the Upper Peninsula from Michigan. So let's go over the ingredients. So we're gonna need some all-purpose flour, and you can also use bread flour, some vegetable shortening or lard, but I'm using vegetable shortening today, but the traditional way uses lard, some butter, some kosher salt, and then for the vegetables, you're gonna need potatoes, an onion, rutabaga, which is just a different type of turnip, carrot, and then some stewing beef, an egg for the egg wash, and a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. Very few ingredients. So the first thing we're gonna do is work on the dough of the pasty because it needs to sit in the refrigerator for about an hour. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, with my flour that I've already sifted so there's no clumps in it, add my vegetable shortening, my butter, and kosher salt. And now this is where it gets dirty, so take off your ring, make sure your hands are washed, and I just use my hands. And you want to do this until you get a coarse crumble. This is how all the old timers do it. Okay, once you got it all incorporated, you're gonna wanna start adding just a little bit of ice water. And it has to be ice water because it's much easier to work with. So I just have some here, so I'm just gonna pour a little bit. Whoop. And then mix that in with my hands. And I'm probably only gonna need a little bit. Now you don't have to worry about over mixing or over kneading this, only because of the fact that it's not gonna be a pie crust. Like a pie crust, you have to worry about over kneading it and stuff like that. But this, you want it to be able to hold everything in. You don't want it to fall apart, so it needs to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. So definitely don't have to worry about over kneading it. Okay, so now that this has compacted into a firm ball, I'm gonna take it over to a harder surface. So I'm gonna go on my counter, knead it for 2 minutes, until it's nice and smooth, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. Okay, so after kneading it for a little while, for about 2 minutes, this is what it should look like, or at least an idea. Now don't add all the water all at once. You really have to take your time and really work it in because you really don't need all that water. As you can tell, I like to, woo! So I'm just gonna put it in some plastic wrap, my worst enemy. And then we're gonna stick it in the fridge for an hour. And what this allows is the gluten to relax, and it's easier to roll out cold dough than it is to roll out warmish dough. So I'm gonna stick it in the fridge. And in the meantime, while it's in the fridge, we can work on cutting up all the rest of the vegetables and the beef. Now, if you don't wanna do this and you want an easy way out, just buy the pre-made pie crust and you can use those the same way that you use this. Sometimes I do that if I want to cheat, but this is the original way to do it, so that's what I'm showing you today, in the fridge. So I went ahead and chopped up all of my vegetables and my meat, and this is really important that you make them really tiny pieces, and in my opinion, it makes it taste better for some reason. So you can see the size of my potato, and then you can see there the size of my beef. My rutabaga, I peeled and chopped that. You can see that they're all basically the same size. So all you gotta do, put this all in a big bowl and mix it up. So I'm gonna add this in here. Probably should use a bigger bowl, but it is what it is. So I had to get a bigger bowl, well, at least one that's easier to mix with. So you just wanna mix this together. And before we start mixing it really well, I'm gonna add salt because you need to season this. Put in a little bit because, I mean, you gotta season the meat, the potato, you have to season all of that. So I'm being kind of liberal with it, but don't go overboard because you can't take salt away once you add it. And my pepper. And this isn't traditional, but I'm adding cayenne. Big surprise, right? It just helps bring out the flavors of everything. So we're gonna mix this very well. Okay, so now that that's mixed evenly, what I'm gonna do is go over to my hard surface. I'm gonna grab my dough out of the refrigerator. We're gonna roll it out and make some pasties. Okay, so I took my dough out and I floured my surface just a little bit, not too much. And I'm gonna kind of just roll this so that it's like easier to cut. Dust off the excess flour. And you're gonna cut it in 6, so you can kind of mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. you know, where you should go. So you can make them bigger, smaller, whatever you want to do. So I got my 6 pieces. Let's start with a big one, a bigger one. And then you're going to take it on your floured surface. Put some flour on top. And with your rolling pin, we're going to roll it out. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is what it is. Doesn't look very appealing, but we're going to fix it. So this is the part where you're going to take your filling. And we're going to put it right in there. And this is a really important step. Don't skip this. You need to put butter on top because that's what's going to make this all taste super, super good. I mean, it already does by itself, but you need it to kind of make that gravy that is in the inside. So now very carefully, you're going to fold that over. Make sure nothing fell through the side. And just pushing down. Now I'm just going to kind of cut off the sides just because I don't want all this extra stuff here. Like I said, this is not a beauty contest. Doesn't need to look pretty. And then I'm just going to fold the edges in. You can crimp it with a fork if you want, but the traditional way is folding them in just like this. All right, not perfect, but who cares? There's no police gonna come to your house and say that it doesn't look pretty enough. So I have a baking sheet lined with some parchment paper, so I'm just going to transfer that there. And then before we're done with that, I'm gonna poke a little hole in the top to allow steam to escape. And then just like that, and then we'll move on to the rest, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, I'm all done. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of an egg wash over the top of these just to make them golden brown. So I just have 1 egg beaten with a little bit of water in it. And we're gonna make sure that we get every single spot covered because we don't want our pasties to have tan lines. As you can see, I'm being pretty generous with I'm being pretty generous with the egg wash. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to throw these in the oven at 375 degrees for about an hour, or until the top is golden brown, or until the meat is fully cooked. Okay, these were in the oven for about 50 minutes. You don't want to overcook them, just until they're golden brown. So we are going to dig in, and I think I want this one because it's bigger. Traditional way of having a pasty is putting ketchup on it. You don't have to, but the ketchup just makes it oh so more delicious. So I'm going to cut it open before I put the ketchup on it just to show you what it looks like. There's no meat in that part, but you can see the meat's cooked all the way through. Delicious. And now the ketchup. I love pasties. One of my favorite things ever. It's comfort food for sure. So I hope you enjoyed spending time with me and making this recipe. Please subscribe because I have many more videos to come. And if you did remake my recipes, please share them with me on Instagram, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Also, all the ingredients and the measurements are listed in the description below as well. So we will see you later. Bye. Don't know, you don't have any, okay, and for those of you who don't know what,
Just keep going.
Easy pita pizza in one pan, done in